Hey everybody, and welcome back to the board meeting. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite games, and in fact, my favorite two-player only game. That is Radlands. Now, if you've never played Radlands before, a very quick overview of the game would be that this is a head-to-head battling game. Two-player only, one player versus the other player, card battling game, where each player is going to control 3 different bases at the base of their mat in front of them. Now, the goal of the game is to destroy all 3 of the other players' bases. If you do that, you win the game. But other players are going to be playing out cards in front of these bases, these characters, in order to attack the other bases, but also to protect those bases. Those characters in front of the bases are almost just like cannon fodder for the other enemy. You have to go through the characters before you can get to the bases. So it's interesting putting these characters out in front of the bases. There are also events that you can play out, and these events will have a timer on them. And some events might take 2 or 3 rounds to go on, but each round they move closer to activating so the other player can see that these events are going to happen eventually. But that's the main thing about this game, is you're playing out these character cards in front of your bases and using the ability of all these characters in front of the bases. And all the characters have different abilities. There's like 100 cards in this game. I don't exactly know how many, but there is quite a bit. And you're all playing from the same pool of cards in this, the same deck of cards you're drawing from. But that's the quick overview of this game. And today I wanted to talk to you about 5 reasons why I think this is the best 2-player game. In my opinion, if you don't agree, that's fine. But let's just jump into these 5 reasons that I'm going to give you. The first of them, it has nothing to do with the actual gameplay itself, nothing to do with mechanics. This has everything to do with the aesthetics of this game, the look of this game, the theme of this game. The artwork in this game is really amazing, in my opinion. It has this almost cartoonish look, but it almost looks realistic. But there are very vibrant colors for these characters. If I was going to pick like my top 10 artwork in games of all time, this game would definitely be in that group of 10. I really like the theme in this game as well, and it's got that apocalyptic theme in it, and I think the artwork really brings out the theme even. And for a little card game, that's hard to do, but I think the artwork is so good in this that it brings that apocalyptic theme out of it. So yeah, the artwork and the theme, that's number one, or one of the reasons why I just think this game is absolutely great. Going on to number 2. Number 2 is, this is going to make some people mad, a certain group of people. This game is Magic the Gathering, but better. Why I say it is better than Magic the Gathering: this game feels like a collectible card game like Magic the Gathering, and Magic the Gathering is like the most popular collectible card game of all time. I mean, millions of people play Magic. This gives me that feel of Magic. But in Magic, if I go and bring my deck of cards, of Magic cards, to a friend's house, and I've spent $100 building this deck, and I'm versing against him who has a deck of cards that he's put in $1,000, $2,000 in, which is very realistic in the Magic the Gathering world, I'm going to get blown away in that game. So that's like the one thing I don't like about Magic. I like the actual gameplay of Magic, but it's such a weird balance of, you have people who put all this money into it and people who don't. And so you have to find your right group of players if you're playing Magic the Gathering. I would say it's very similar to, like, if you were going to play chess and you are an amateur chess player and you go and play some grandmaster chess champion who's played chess for 40 years and written books on it. It's just not going to be fun for either of those players. That's kind of how Magic the Gathering feels like at the worst points for me, is that it's very unbalanced between players. You have to find your right group of people to play against. In this game, you are going to spend, if you're buying the retail version of this is what you're going to get, basically, this box of cards. And I have the Kickstarter version, so I've got a little bit nicer cards. I got plastic tokens instead of cardboard. But if you get the retail version of this game, it's going to cost you $20. If you get the Kickstarter version, it's going to be a little bit more. But in the Kickstarter version, you get plastic cards, you get plastic tokens, and you get 2 playmats, which are absolutely awesome. I love the playmats for these. The playmats just keep everything more organized, and it looks really nice on the table. But it's totally unnecessary. You can buy the retail version for $20 if you would like to. And that's the difference between this. This gives me that Magic the Gathering feel, that gives me that collectible card game feel, but it's all contained in this box. Whereas I have some Magic cards in the room beside me, and I have this big giant box, and I don't even have that many cards compared to a lot of people. But it's 2 different worlds, but it feels like they're in the same genre. But you're going to spend 1/50th of the amount of money you would spend on those collectible card games. So yeah, it's Magic the Gathering, but better in my opinion, without the downfalls. Let's go to my next reason, number 3. Number 3 is this game is very, very accessible. I would say this game is actually even a light game. I would consider it a light game. You can teach this game in about 5 to 10 minutes. That's another reason why I think it's better than Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering has hundreds of keywords at this time, so it's hard to get into Magic the Gathering if you're a new player. You're just going to be overwhelmed with new rules and all these different keywords. You can teach this game in about 5 to 10 minutes. There's not a lot going on for the rules wise. You're going to get resources, you're going to spend those resources to pay for cards, and you're just trying to destroy the other player's base. So you can get into this game in relatively quick fashion. And it's one of those things that if it's late at night and you want to play a quick game and the person doesn't know any games, you can break out Radlands and teach almost anyone. I mean, I wouldn't show like a brand new gamer who's never played anything before, but it is relatively light of a game. And that'll go into number 4. Number 4 is something to do with the mechanics. And this happens before you even play the game. This is the very, very start of the game, the pre-game. You are going to pick your bases. And you think, well, that's not that interesting. But these bases, you're going to pick 3 of them. You're going to get dealt 6 of these bases. You're going to pick 3 of them to choose from. Now, each of these bases, it's going to dictate a couple different things about your game. First off, each of these bases has a special, unique quality to them. They even have abilities that you can trigger throughout the game. But not only that, they will also determine how many cards you get in your starting hand of cards. And cards are hard to come by. The interesting thing is there are some very, very powerful bases that are obviously better than others. But those powerful bases aren't going to give you any cards. They might give you 1 card, possibly. Some of them will give you 0 cards even though. And if you start the game and you pick 3 super powerful bases, but you have no cards in your hand to start the game, you might have shot yourself in the foot before the game even started. So you're going to have to try and pick out a balance of taking maybe good bases and maybe some not so good bases so that you get a good amount of starting cards in your hand. And you're not going to start with a lot of cards no matter what. The average starting hand, you probably have 3 or 4 cards in your hand probably to start. This is probably an average starting hand in this game. Cards are hard to come by, which will lead me into my 5th and final point of this game. Each and every round, you have very, very tough decisions. Even deciding on which bases you want can be a pretty difficult decision in this game. Like I said, there's not a lot of rules in this game, but there is a lot of depth in this game. Each round is filled with tough choices. And each round, you can either play some cards from your hand and use your water, which you only get 3 water each round to spend. And if you want to play some characters from your hand out onto the board or events, you're going to have to spend 3 of those 3 water to play some cards. Each character costs a different amount, obviously. But you're going to either play characters onto the board, or you can activate characters that are on the board to do their certain special abilities, whether it's attacking people or doing different unique things. Or besides those 2 things, which are tough enough to choose from, you can also choose to junk a card, which you just junk a card. you don't get to play that card anymore, but you junk it and get the junk effect. These cards are multi-use cards, so you can junk it, lose that card, but you get some sort of quick, fast, not like super powerful ability. But those little abilities can really help transition you to like a final bigger move in the end. And so you're going to have lots and lots of tough choices. And you don't have a lot of cards either. Like I said, each round you draw one card. You can also pay 2 water to draw a card, but you're spending 2/3 of your resources that round just to draw a card, and you don't know what that card is going to be. So it's just a wild draw. So you don't know. And that's just something that I love about this game is each choice is agonizing. This game can take anywhere from 15 minutes if it's a very fast game. Sometimes it might take an hour. And those hour-long games are probably because you're playing with someone who's got that analysis paralysis going on. And this is one of those games that I can't even blame them, because even sometimes when I'm playing, I'm like, should I play this card, or should I activate that ability, or should I junk this card? I'm not sure what I should do, what's the right move, what's the most efficient way I can do this. So you've got so many choices in this game. For being such a light game, it's got so much depth to it. But that's all I got for this video. Comment down below if you want to tell me something about this game, or if I'm right, if I'm wrong about it. But let me tell you, I rate this game a 10. I don't give out 10s very often. This is definitely a 10 for me. In fact, it's probably reached into my top 10 favorite games of all time now, and it came out last year, and it just it's always on my mind. Somewhere in the back of my mind I'm thinking about Radlands, because it's got so many juicy decisions in it. Either way, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe to see more weekly content from me, Shane, at the board meeting in the future. Hope you all have an amazing day. Take care, everyone.